Welcome back. We're here with another edition of the Down and Back with CornDoug. This week, another great show. We've got Dave Weiser from Cleveland Cornhole on. We've heard a lot of talk of him before with Sato Soto, Christine Papke. We've had Sean Asp on the show. So we'll get his kind of take on Cleveland Cornhole and how that's all going, because you hear it's one of the top leagues in the U.S. So we'll get some info on that there. Also, we'll talk to him about his virtual stuff. I finally dipped my toe in the virtual tournaments on the weekend, and I thought it might have been a bit better, but as you've all know when I talk, it gets kind of iffy there. So we'll bring Dave in. We'll bring him in now to talk some cornhole. Dave, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you, Doug?
Oh, not too bad. Like I said, I'm still licking the wounds from the weekend with that, because it's just, like I talk on some of the other shows, it gets frustrating when you throw sixes and eights and when you're warming up, and then you're just throwing threes when you actually play, and it's just, it's still a fun game to play, but it's that whole new mentality of just playing by yourself, and you don't have those extra bags on the board to really get you going.
Yeah, it's a little bit different, but it's kind of the same in that, when you say you're going live, that first bag, there's a little extra nervous tension, like, all right, This one counts, so I need to throw it straight, and it doesn't always happen.
Oh, no, like my first game, I thought I was going to be great. I threw a 9 the first end, and then all of a sudden it just went down. It was like, oh, here we go. But so you're with Cleveland Cornhole. We know that's probably one of the top leagues in the U.S. because you guys have so many players. So your background with the league of how long it's been around and kind of how you got to start.
Yeah, so I started Cleveland Cornhole, and the idea started in 2011, but I started actually running events in 2012. Previous to that, two of our local players, Jim and Michelle Cahill, actually ran the league here for 6 or 7 years before that. So I started playing in 2008 in their league, and then about 2011, it seemed like they were a little bit burned out and approached me about taking over. So I took over in 2012, and here we are 8 years later. Yeah, it is one of the biggest leagues in the country. I think there's a league up in the Northeast that has some ridiculous amount of teams. We get 70-some teams on Mondays and 60-some on Thursdays, and that's really our capacity. We can't take more because we don't have room for it where we're at now. So, but it's been growing every year since we've taken over. So it's been great.
Yeah, we kind of hear those numbers up here with our league, and we're like, oh, we're lucky to get 30 players out for a league night, and you guys are like quadruple that there. But it just shows how big of an area that you guys have. That it's just that stronghold that you have, because like I said, we've had Sato Soto on the show, we've had Christine Papke, Sean Asp, and talking with them, with so many great players you have, it's almost like a national every league night that you guys have there, because there's so many great players in that area.
Well, I mean, that's what's great about the league. I mean, I say the league's for anyone from who wants to be the best in the country down to people who just want to get out of the house on a Monday night or a Thursday night and just have some fun, right? So, and we have all skill levels in between. So on Mondays, when I say we have 73 teams, which we do, that's broken out across 8 divisions based on your skill level. So if you come to the league and you're better than average, but you're not great, there's a division for you where you're going to have fun and compete and not get crushed by the pros, but also not crush the people that don't even really know how to throw a bag, But we have some of the best players in the country, including like Christine, who's there. So you can kind of see where you're at on a national level just by coming to a league night, which you can't get everywhere. But that's what makes it fun. If you're there to get better, great. Come and get better. If you're there just to get out of the house, that's great too. No, nothing wrong with that.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's like we've talked before with some of the other people, it's like, it's that night out of just having fun. And with so many pros there that you have in your leagues, is they're always willing to help out any of the newcomers that come out. So your newcomers are just getting, the best of the best, kind of giving them the showing them how to do it.
Yeah, there's I mean, cornhole players are awesome, right? So they're always willing to help they'll give you tips or whatever to, introduce you to new bags they think might work better for you. This game's changed so much in the last couple of years with this whole bring your own bags. Before that, it was you show up and you throw what's at the board. And now there's 100 different varieties, probably more than that you could pick from. And only certain ones are going to fit your style. So Cito's great at that. Cito's great at helping players, try different. I mean, he brings a suitcase of bags. So, here, try these. Here, try these. Throw it like this. So, the players are always been great about trying to help the newcomers get better.
Yeah, and I think those guys really help promote your league as well too, because you see Cito online all the time. Is just everything Cleveland Cornhole, and it's just you guys are, and it's you're so spread out, like you said, in your couple nights with your so many players. It's just it's almost you're kind of where everyone is kind of wants to aspire to get their league too.
Yeah, well, thanks. I mean, it's been 8 years, right? So it hasn't happened overnight, but I think if you do things right, you make it fun for the players, and of course with the ACL coming out and being on ESPN, it's really spurred the growth too. Yeah.
So I know the other thing, like you said, that you have all your different leagues. So it's and Christina kind of mentioned to me on our show here Wednesday night that you guys have almost like a committee that's kind of checks and makes sure everyone really should be in your right divisions.
Yeah, it's an idea I came up with a few years ago. I don't want to be like a dictator and say, well, you're moving up. I don't want it to just be me. So we have a committee of, it varies between 10 and 20 people who every 3 months or so, 4 months, I get them all together, usually via email or whatever. And I just say, all right, here's a list of players, rank them for me. And, and then we kind of look at them after everyone's ranked them and take the average. And we say, okay, let's draw the line. Where should we draw the line for, advanced players? And then where should we draw the line for the next level? And it's worked pretty well. I mean, the downside is not everyone on the committee knows all these players all that well. Some of the people on the committee are ACL players, but they don't play in the league. Or some of the people on the committee are in the league, but they don't necessarily play tournaments. Mm-hmm. So the voting's a little bit all over the board sometimes. So that's why we take the average. And so far it's worked pretty well. I mean, I'm sure we get a couple wrong here and there, but it's the best we can do at this point.
Oh, exactly. And if you have that many people coming back to your league, you got to be doing something right, because like we have our small league here, and it's you win a couple of tournaments and then you got to move up, and you've got guys that complain and they don't want to be up playing against the better guys, but it's the only way to really grow the game is having those people play against like talent, because you don't want them really kind of blowing the doors off of some new player, and then that new player not even wanting to come back again.
Yeah, and I think that's to give ACL credit. They've been willing to have multiple divisions, whereas prior to that, it was all one division. If you wanted to play in a national points type tournament, everyone shows up, you're in one division, and what fun is that if you're getting run over by the best players, So the ACL's willingness to have, actually they have 5 divisions. We don't run a lot of novice tournaments yet, but hopefully that division starts growing too. And then that way you come out and not get crushed by the pros, or if you're a pro, you don't have to beat somebody 21-0. That's no fun either. So
yeah, I know. And like we had spoke on the weekend there, I'm kind of looking for that pre-novice division in the virtual when I was playing. But then speaking of the virtual, you've really kind of dove right in with the virtual tournaments.
Yeah, I mean the idea of Ghost Cornhole started a little while ago, but the ACL has now started these virtual tournaments. I think April 3rd is when it kind of kicked off, and now we're up to almost 1,000 players that have at least tried ACL virtual. And actually this last week was the biggest week the ACL's had so far. So it's slowly catching on. I know it really seems to be more popular in the lower divisions than, I don't know if the advanced players just doesn't appeal to them as much. But that division is kind of smaller compared to the rest. But it's growing, and if we can't get back to live cornhole in the near future, then it's what we have to deal with. So, well, they also, ACL recently announced that they're going to be running Ghost Cornhole type things. So if you're not familiar with virtual, the ACL virtual right now is basically you enter a tournament, you throw 10 rounds, highest score you can get is 120. And then you see if the guy or gal you're playing against scored more or less than you. And that's the game. But Ghost Cornhole is where, the ghost starts with a number. So every round, if he gets 8, you have to try to beat 8. And if you get 9, and then you get 1 point for that round. And the goal is to get to 21 and give up as few points as possible as compared to whoever you're playing. So that version's coming. I'm not sure when it's going to be out for ACL, but if players like that version better, then they'll have that option in the near future as well.
Which I think, like you said, I think that's what's great about the ACL, to be able to expand and just kind of adapt virtually really quickly with all of this here after we had to shut down there.
Yeah, I don't think anybody realizes how much it's a big effort to put that kind of code into a system, get out all the details to directors and to players. I'm sure some players are probably they feel overwhelmed that, all right, I have to go here and I have to sign up, and when I play my game, I'm going to get a text, and then I have to post my live video on Facebook. But once you do it once, it's a piece of cake. I mean, I see it every week. I've run 3 weekends worth of virtual tournaments now. The first 2 weekends were a bit almost overwhelming with so many people asking questions like, what do I got to do? What do I got to do? And then this last weekend, it was almost smooth, because it was very smooth because almost everyone had already played a game. They knew what they were doing. So once you do it once, you'll probably be hooked. It's cornhole. I mean, cornhole players get hooked. We're hooked for a reason. So It's a little bit different of a game. We all want to get back to live cornhole, but this is what we have for now.
Yeah, I think, from my experience in it, it was almost like signing up for a regular national or any of the big tournaments. It's just you went on the same kind of registration, you did everything, and you had those texts coming through like it's everything. The only difference was just going that live. So maybe it's the players getting used to playing on TV. I guess they'll be ready for any ESPN because they'll already have that live component to their game.
Yeah, don't be afraid of the technology. It's really not too hard. All you need is a phone at the very least. You go live on Facebook. You've probably done it before. If you haven't, it's basically pressing a button, and then record your game. It's pretty easy.
Yeah, and like I've talked to some of the other pros, and they were like, you know what, that's almost the best teaching for anybody, is because you can even save your videos and then kind of go through your game to see maybe what you did wrong or what you did right that you should keep going. So it's almost can benefit you in a way as well.
Yeah, I mean, if you're analytical, you might want to rewatch your video. But the other bonus is, the ACL's goal is at nationals, and even down from there, conference, even regional, if the directors are willing to do it, is to track your every game. So when you're playing a game, when you're playing a head-to-head live game, you're going to be recording your stats, because stats are what's going to drive, they're gambling on these games now. The Pros Virtual had a thing that's come out the last few weeks where you can bet on someone's going to beat their average score. Where does that average score come from? It comes from data. We got to have data. So when we get back to these live games, we started playing around with it at the Florida National for those people that went. We had some Wi-Fi issues, so unfortunately it didn't work. But Cleveland, they were planning on having over 100 tablets at those boards where you start the game, and when you throw around, you got to enter how many you made and how many were on the board. And I know players feel it's going to take away from, maybe their play a little bit, but the data is invaluable. So by playing in these virtual events, you'll also get used to that whole application. So you'll be ready for it when we get to live events. Or when we get to live events, you just have your friend score it, and then you don't have to worry about it. That works too.
Well, exactly.
That works in virtual too. If you want your friend to score it, just, have your husband or wife or significant other sit there and score it for you so you can focus on your bags.
Exactly. And then going back to what we talked about before with where you put the different people in the leagues, having that tracking kind of will get those people away from, trying to play in a lower division, because we've got the data that says you shouldn't be playing there.
Yeah, and when ACL Virtual took off, or when we started, the first couple of weeks, there was a lot of complaining about sandbagging, and that's understandable. I mean, somebody was playing intermediates throwing 90s, that shouldn't be happening, right? So, but it's all new. I mean, the data is just now coming out. So now, literally, I'm the guy who checks the data every single day to see if anyone's averaging higher than they should be. And we've moved up over 100 players in the last 2 weeks. So these virtual tournaments that have multiple divisions, you should be playing people of your skill level. Now, of course, there's still going to be a few sandbaggers, people who haven't played virtual yet, who come in, they're marked intermediate, start throwing 80s and 90s. It's going to happen, but we're going to catch them fast, and we're going to move them up. So hopefully it doesn't happen nearly as often as it has in the past.
Yeah, it's like I said to you, like I was really impressed how, the tournament had only been over for like 5-10 minutes, and you had sent out that message saying this person here has now got a higher average. He's now moving up, and you sent out, much to my chagrin, all the stats from all the players. But like that's what's going to help grow this game and keep those people from out when you actually put the stats out there saying, here's what it is. You've got to be moving up.
Yeah, we want it to be fun for everyone. So unfortunately, it's still kind of a wide range. Like, competitive players are supposed to be in the 71 to 90 range. Well, if you're averaging 72, you're probably still going to struggle against the person who's averaging 88. So it's still kind of a wide range, but at least it's a range where you're not playing somebody who's throwing hundreds. So, exactly. But I think that's going to get, when Ghost comes around, assuming, it'd be great if we get to live cornhole soon, right? But I'm not sure how soon that's going to happen. So virtual's around for months, and we get this Ghost cornhole running. There could be some really fun games where, if Doug, if you're averaging 60 and you're playing somebody who averages 80, well, they're going to be Ghost 8 and you're going to be Ghost 6, right? Mm-hmm. So they're going to have to score over 8 every round to score, and you're going to have to score over your average of 6 to score. And those could make for some really great games once we get to that point.
Exactly. I think that's the one component that I wasn't sure of playing when we get to the Ghost, was that I didn't know that you'd be having, playing with someone else who could be playing at a higher one. But that was my thing when I'd first seen the Ghost come out, because we have some players here that I know are top players that can throw 10s all the time, and they're playing in Ghost like 5 tournaments, and I'm like, what are you even doing playing in that there, where you're just destroying someone? That, what's really the fun in that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, it's going to come out in phases, so that example I just gave might not be out in the first phase, but I mean, I think the ACL's goal is that in order to move into ACL Ghost, or whatever they're going to call it, you're going to have virtual numbers. So you can't just, if you don't have data, we don't have data on you, then you can't play the Ghost until we get data on you. So to start, it might just be you enter a Ghost 6 tournament and you're only playing other people who are Ghost 6 level, which the data says they're averaging between 60 and, 65 or 70. And that really should make it very competitive for those people. But eventually, if this lives for a long time and we can get the coding to do it, then a Ghost 6 could play a Ghost 8, and it should just be as competitive as anything.
And I think that will really appeal to more players to get them to play, because it makes that playing field a little more level, and then it might be fun for if it is that different thing, a newer player getting to play against like a pro or someone that's much better to be able to see just how they do.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how it works out. I'm not quite sure how it's going to work out, but my goal is, I love to see 2 players that are completely evenly matched play. Those are the best games, right? So hopefully that's what virtual turns out to be in the future.
And I think this is really just going to help grow the game in so many ways, like you said, with the whole new gambling side of it that we had on the weekend, and which was just puts another level of into the game. Especially, like, I talked to Samantha Finley about it, because she played it for the first time, and I was like, is that now a different, like, you have your regular pressure they have at playing on an ESPN or something? Is that now more pressure with that someone is gambled on whether you're going to do well or you're going to not do well, right? And it's that new kind of fun, I guess, of you can say guessing, because that's what it's going to end up being, but it's just how that person's having a day, and I think it's just going to grow it.
Yeah, I mean, who knows what the future holds, but I mean, if you look at like things like the NFL, I'm from Cleveland. I watch all the Browns as much as I can, but I won't necessarily go out of my way to watch another team play, especially if it's 2 bad teams, except for fantasy football, or I, if I'm somewhere I'm allowed to make a bet, I might make a bet somewhere. And that drives me to watch those games. So obviously gambling can drive people to watch cornhole if it grows to be that big.
Yeah, and then, even bring in new people playing, because, like we always say, once you play once, you become addicted almost immediately. So it's, it could just grow this game even more exponentially.
I mean, that's the goal. I mean, we've grown quite a bit in the last couple of years, but I mean, really, still the sky is the limit. Which still seems like we've only scratched the surface. So, who knows?
Yeah. So I want to thank you for doing this here, for coming on to talk a bit about Cleveland Cornhole, and then even to go on talking more about the virtual stuff. And I'm hoping we're going to get back playing soon, because I know a bunch of the guys here that we went down to Cleveland for that national. We want to get back down to playing one of your tournaments, just because, we've heard so much about, the way you guys are down there. So we want to go down and experience it for ourselves.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on. You're welcome anytime. I mean, even the regionals that I've been running, the last 2 regionals I ran were the 2 biggest ones I've ever had, with about 160 total people. And the intermediate division had almost 50, I think. So it was just, all the divisions are growing, and, we had good momentum, but unfortunately the virus has stopped that momentum. And I don't know, at this point in Cleveland, when the weather gets good, it's almost like everyone wants to get outside anyway, even though we're not really allowed to go anywhere.
Yeah.
But I don't know. This might be a thing where we have to wait till fall to kind of pick it back up. But I guess time will tell.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it's sooner rather than later, and we'll get a chance to meet live, and maybe even play a fun game or two.
Yeah. Look forward to it.
Okay. Thanks for coming on, and we'll hope to see you soon.
All right. Take care.
Okay. Dave Weiser, Cleveland Cornhole, great guy to come on to talk about the stuff that they're doing down there, and if you're looking for something to do tomorrow, Saturday, or even Sunday, check out one of his tournaments. They're well run. Like you were getting the info right away. So just check out the ACL Virtual, whether it is Dave's tournaments out of Cleveland or some of the other ones. Just go out, have some fun. So again, here we're on our time, so it's check us back out. I'll be back on Monday on Facebook, letting you know what's coming up for next week. Another big week, another big live show. I'm really another excited show. We had probably our best show we've had Wednesday night with Christine and Samantha on, and Ariel Pohl, our local player at a KW here. You guys have just the amount of response from that video alone. We're it's set the record for myself for views in a first 12 hours and then a first 24, because it was just skyrocketed. So I want to thank everyone for checking that out. And so hopefully you enjoy this show with Dave. We'll talk next Monday about what's coming up next week. Like I said, it's going to be a show you're going to be wanting to watch, because you're going to get a lot of info in an hour, and it's just going to go. So just everyone check out OctaneCornhole.com to get any of your Octane needs, your Octane bags, your Octane gear, whatever you want. And I'm going to go, haven't done it for a while, hit the subscribe button down there. You guys are just, I'm loving this here. We're up to 120 subscribers now, so we're now 20% of the way to another giveaway out of our 200 subscriber. Once we get to 200 subscriber, we'll get another giveaway. Hopefully we'll have a bit more participation in it than our last one here, but it's just you guys, like I said, just if there's anyone that you want to see on the show, let me know. I'll do my best to try and get them on. Usually like I said, no one is saying no to coming on the show, because it's just cornhole people want to have fun, and yeah, so just like I said, like and subscribe, hit the little bell, then you get notified whenever there's a new video come up. And yeah, so with that, just keep having fun, keep throwing those virtual bags, stay safe. And I'm thinking, I know up here we're kind of just maybe turning that corner where we're possibly going to be getting some live stuff soon, but just stay safe, and hopefully soon in your area you'll be able to get some live cornhole with all your people in your league really soon. So catch you next week on the Down and Back with CornDoug. Remember, check out Octane Cornhole, OctaneCornhole.com, and get yourself some new bags, some new gear for when we start going live. You are ready to play all the time. See you next week on the Down and Back with CornDoug.